Hello again, friends. Welcome into Gamecock Central Radio. Recruiting update today with Wes Mitchell. I'm Emerson Phillips. Glad to have you along on Gamecock Central Radio. You can download the Gamecock Central Radio app on the App Store and on Google Play. To subscribe to the podcast, search for Gamecock Central Radio on iTunes, SoundCloud, or other popular services, or just visit radio.GamecockCentral.com. Wes, how you doing today?
Good, Emerson. How's it going?
Everything's good, man. Gamecocks pick up 2 more football commits for 2017, and we're going to talk about them today. Your piece on GamecockCentral.com is up. A couple of playmakers being brought in for 2017, Wes, and both of them coming in from out of state. And I would think the Gamecock coaching staff very excited with the addition of these 2 players over the weekend.
Yeah, had a big weekend of visitors with basically a prospect cookout is what they had. It was really not very football-oriented. It was more about just allowing prospects to get in, get to know the coaches a little bit better, let their families get to know the coaches a little bit better. They actually had a scavenger hunt that sort of was, these guys always go on tours of campuses, but the scavenger hunt was sort of an excuse to tour and sort of mix in a competition in that as well, which I think was very, very well received by all the prospects we talked to. And then actually South Carolina lands a couple of commitments in Kyshaun Bryan, a 4-star running back, and then Shaun Smith, a 3-star wide receiver.
Smith from Brunswick, Georgia, 6 foot, 170 pounds, has committed to South Carolina over Florida, Georgia, Auburn, Miami, West Virginia, Mississippi State. So he had a good offer list, Wes, and he talked about the fact that he had a good relationship with Brian McClendon, and that was part of the reason he liked South Carolina.
Yeah, Shaun Smith, the kid, he's a 3-star, but he's a 5.7 3-star, which is our highest level of 3-star, just under being a 4-star guy. And like you said, great offer list. This is a kid that you turn on the film, he can pretty much do it all. He's a great athlete. He plays some quarterback for his high school, plays some receiver for his high school. Is a speed guy, but also, like you said, 6 foot, 170. He's not a speed guy that's tiny. He's got some size to him as well. Sort of a one-cut runner in that he sticks his foot in the ground and he goes. They use him all over. They use him in the running game. They use him in the passing game, both as a quarterback and a receiver. So, versatile kid. He's going to come in and play receiver for South Carolina. And, Brian McClendon really has done a great job. This is a kid that at one point he had Georgia on top. Obviously, Georgia is where Brian McClendon was before he came to South Carolina as the interim, he's the interim coach there. He had Miami on top at one time with sort of the Mark Richt connection, after Mark Richt transitioned from Georgia to Miami. So, this is a kid that the relationships have been very important with, and no coach had a better relationship with him than Brian McClendon, and that really was the primary reason, in talking to Shaun Smith's coach that he ended up at South Carolina. So I think a good pickup for South Carolina. They obviously need some playmakers on offense. They had just lost a commitment this week from the JUCO wide receiver, Stephen Guidry. So turn around and land him, obviously a big get for Carolina.
All right, Wes. Kyshaun Bryan, the 4-star running back from Fort Lauderdale, Florida, committed over the weekend as well. He's 5'10", 185 pounds. Attends school at St. Thomas Aquinas. That's a football powerhouse in South Florida. And I liked a couple of Brian's comments. Number one, he likes the fact that he can come in and compete for playing time right away. He talked about that right off the bat. And he also cited South Carolina as having one of the top business schools in the country. And we often hear prospects talk about, I can get a good education there, but when I hear the kid cite the business school specifically, that indicates to me that he's got a plan. He's planning to come in and study business. And, we tend to overanalyze these things, but when he said business school specifically, sounds like he's coming here not only to play football, but to study business.
Yeah, and I think, South Carolina's a really good fit for him when you consider if those two things are most important to him, then, I'm not sure he could find a better spot than South Carolina, because I look at the running back depth chart. There is room for somebody to come in and play. There's absolutely no doubt about that. And then obviously, business school, they've got the brand new business building over there to show them. And this is a kid that also had a great offer list. Not the biggest guy in the world, but explosive. And you know what? I think the other thing to sort of hone in on here is the job that Bobby Bentley has done as a recruiter. I think, you look at this coaching staff and you say pretty much all these guys most all of them have recruited at a high level at the SEC level. You look at Bobby Bentley just because of his career track. this part is new to him. He was an off the field coach at Auburn, so he was not an on the road recruiter. So, I think he's done an outstanding job. He obviously built a good relationship with Bryan as his future position coach, and this is a kid that can get out there, get on the edge, can make plays, and can basically make big plays. He's sort of a big play back. Has some elusiveness to him, has some speed to him, and anytime you're going down to the South Florida area and getting South Florida athletes, you're doing something right. So South Carolina, to be able to get a kid up there, just getting the kids on campus from that far south, it can actually be very, very difficult. So they were able to get him up here and then get him committed. I think you always have to sort of, with out-of-state kids, you sort of have to fight it to the very end. You can't really let up once they're committed. You have to continue to recruit them. But so far, to land a kid like this, obviously a big, big get for the South Carolina coaching staff.
So the Gamecocks pick up verbal commitments from Shaun Smith, high three-star receiver from Brunswick, Georgia, and Kyshaun Bryan, 4-star running back out of Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Emerson Phillips with Wes Mitchell with you here on Gamecock Central Radio. Wes, who else may be coming down the pipe here in the next couple of weeks before the start of summer practice on June 1st?
Well, I think, like I said, they had their big event on Saturday. They made a move with a lot of guys. Not really a guy out there right now that I would say is just ready to pull the trigger, ready to commit. But, I think I'd still keep an eye on Jay Urich, the quarterback from Wren High School. He's really been sort of he hasn't really wanted to name a timetable or a leader in all this. He's got some other schools he's still talking to, but I really feel like South Carolina's in good shape, and I feel like he probably doesn't want it to extend out too much longer. He's a kid that wants to make sure before he makes that decision, but I don't know if he wants it to drag out a whole heck of a lot longer. So, I'm not saying tomorrow, but in the fairly near future, he's a guy that I would probably keep an eye on.
All right, so the semester's wrapping up. Summer workouts begin on June the 1st, and, of course, the Gamecock 2016 football season will start on Thursday night, September the 1st. So we're getting down to about 100 days until the start of Gamecock football season, and we're counting them down with you here on Gamecock Central Radio. Wes Mitchell, thanks for the update today.
All right, Emerson, appreciate it, man. We'll talk to you soon.
All right, that's Wes Mitchell. You can hit him up on Twitter at Wes Mitchell GC, and I'm Emerson Phillips. You can find me on Twitter at Emerson Phillips. Plenty more Gamecock football to come here on Gamecock Central Radio. Thanks for joining us.